Sometimes you wonder if teams actually throw games just to make things interesting, for a challenge, for the thrill of it, just to feel something. I wonder. Hi, this is Vision to Now, in the series Clearing Vision, where I have gone through every day of MSI and cleared up the vision, so to speak, and trying to just get a good analysis of every day. We got ourselves the second semifinal of the day with Damwon versus MADening, where we can congratulate the fact that I've predicted that the finals. Most people predicted the finals. I don't think anybody came into the tournament thinking that someone other than Damwon and RNG would come into the finals. If they did, they were hopeful fools. And I wish I had your optimism. Although, MADening came close, and MADening did a lot of stuff that, I would have expected to have been able to beat Damwon. That being said, or in spite of that, Damwon has only lost to 3 teams of the entire tournament, one of which has beaten them way more often than the others, ratio-wise. This is a long-winded introduction. We'll just get right into it. So, a couple of things that came to my mind. There's also a lack of flexibility between these drafts. And if you've watched my Road to MSI series, of which I'll link at the end of the video, you would know that for me, if that's the case, if you're going to keep repeating the same draft over and over and over and over again, then there is usually, for me, a show of lack of flexibility and an inability to be able to adapt for international tournaments. But we're in the international tournament already. Lack of flexibility be damned. You win. Though Damwon seems to have the most flexibility out of the 2 teams, to the point where they literally played Mad's composition one time, but swapping out a Kaisa for a Tristana. Something that I frankly annoys me, and I'm going to talk about this first before I talk about the things that would otherwise be appropriate to talk about given the the setup that's coming in for the finals. Games 2 and 3 to me are absolutely ridiculous. I cannot state how much that game, and I don't want to say that MADening were given free wins. They weren't. They really weren't. MADening played to the strengths that they knew. They understood exactly the weaknesses of Damwon's gameplay and attacked it early in. They made sure that their early game was strong. I've also looked at my notes for that game specifically. They do a lot of stuff to make sure that they control the rate of information. They are always keeping up with the tempo. Despite the fact that Damwon for most of these games have had the tempo lead early in, Mad are always on the up and keeping up with the tempo or punishing and finding moments to actually steal the tempo into the game. Fantastic. The thing that comes weird to me is that despite the fact that Mad don't balloon their gold leads in either game that they won, they still managed to win out through what I think is them doing the right movements and doing the right plays, and approaching the game in a way that is intelligent just by default, right? They play default intelligently and punish the mistakes that Damwon put, but Damwon play uncharacteristically bad. There is an amount of things happening here that there is, I wrote here, Ghost is playing weird. What is up with Ghost and Barrel on this series? I think that's the linchpin of the entire thing. I wrote a note here at some point that I think it was game 4. Yeah. DK's bot lane has been a sore point. even the game that they were winning, it showed to me that like something was happening that was incredibly bizarre that we had not seen for the entire tournament. And this isn't like a new thing that Damwon's bot lane is, look, because the casters repeat it over and over again. But if you watch the playoffs or if you watch the LCK regular season, Damwon's bot lane is not the strongest of the region. They're not the weakest of the region by all means, but they are the point of attack for a lot of people. Because oftentimes Khan is playing tanks and on the weak side, and it's really hard to attack him. And if you do, the rest of the team elsewhere tends to attack places really well. A mistake Mad had to learn really hard in this series. But like, Damwon put focus on mid lane and bot lane so much because that's where their weaknesses lie. Not necessarily like the mid lane, but because that's where they struggle the most because they're not an early game team, right? And only recently have we seen them play the early game very well. And like to mix results, right? And like they'll play some games incredibly well in the early game, hence games 1, 4, and 5, which are incredible early game plays. And I hope that they play this kind of way for the finals and not how they played in game 2 and 3, because holy smokes, that shows to me that they'll be competitive and they'll be able to actually play against RNG, who, even if they're not like the strongest early game team, have consistency into their early games and are equivalently as good during the late games in terms of macro play. Mad Lions and PSG, out of the top 4 here, were the 2 strongest early game teams, but not by like a wide margin. They don't come from regions where the early game is like the primary focus. Mad Lions is... I still consider Mad Lions the most consistent team, but they're not the team that tends to convert leads the best, right? They tend to need large amounts of leads to convert them into anything else into the game. Otherwise, if they have leads, they keep them very well, but they don't balloon them very well. And games 2 and 3 are great exemplars of that, because despite the fact that they won, it required like a lot more effort to win the game eventually. Games 1, 4, and 5 are significantly shorter than games 2 and 3, and they're large indicators of the ability for Mad Lions to close compared to RNG and Damwon, who are much better at closing out games. And Damwon is definitely a better team at closing out games. They closed out games in like the most ballsy fashion as I can think of. Like, they were at match point losing. They had to win the 2 games to make it through, and they won in under 25 minutes for both games. 22 minutes and 22 seconds for game 4 and 24 minutes for game 5. And like, this is not to say that Mad were like mediocre. No, far from it. They had a very strong set of vision game that they had the entire time. They played the neutral objectives like intelligently. There were moments where they like capitulated and weren't like as solid into the approach, but more often than not, I preferred the approach to neutral objective setups from Mad than by Damwon, because for the most part, Damwon was using the ballooning of leads from laning phase, wave manipulation, turret structure taking, like choking out camps to be able to set up neutral objectives, because they didn't have to set it up anymore, right? They didn't have to contest lanes. They didn't have to do a whole lot of the extra work for it. But Mad Lions, who were not as good at ballooning leads and weren't grabbing as much like territory around, still set up vision lines incredibly well, and denied vision for them to be able to like take the objectives that they needed, the neutrals. They still set up pressures and priorities in mid lane and bot lane for the dragons primarily, because I think that they had the Drake controlled the most often in this game. I didn't write down exactly who did for like which dragons, but in like reviewing these notes, Mad had a much more much bigger focus on Drakes than Damwon did, and it showed. Like, they practiced doing it frequently, and so they have had like a really strong approach to the game. And I'm sitting here going like, great, stronger approach to the game, consistent early game as well. They keep up until like the 20-ish minute mark. When they do have a lead, they're able to keep it up for as long as they can and know what steps to make so that they can still keep that lead the entire way. But they don't convert it to very much. They don't balloon it well enough for it to be like a quick close, or for them to like, you know, prolong the whole, like to prolong, or not prolong, but to like, oh, what's it called again? For them to, oh, yeah, right, choke out the ability for like Damwon to come back. Compared to when Damwon get a lead, they never stop. They just never pump the brakes. You are absolutely suffocated at any given moment. And Mad don't know how to play behind from there. They play behind fine. Like the teams they faced off against don't play at this pace. Europe is not what I would consider the strongest region. Granted, like, doesn't have much for competition. Most of the other regions are not the strongest, but like, they're not a. Europe is not a region with teams who frequently have to practice playing behind, because they don't tend to play well from behind. Most of the teams that I saw from the playoffs were not doing well behind, not compared to when they're ahead. And I think Mad was not expecting a team to be so aggressive when behind. They still win those games. Like, they still properly close out these games. Like, if I was to look over here, Mad still play with incredibly efficient Barons. They have, let's see over here. Yeah, they had incredibly efficient Barons. And Mad were able to close out on some. And games 2 is weird. I'm not gonna lie. Games 2 and 3, to me, I don't like. If I was to erase games 2 and 3, games 1, 4, and 5 are more representative of the skill difference between these two teams. Whereas games 2 and 3 are more representative of Damwon's faltering mistakes. And I don't want to stress enough how much, like, Mad Lions are not. I'm not implying that they're bad, right? In fact, in multiple moments, I thought they were much better than Damwon. They were more consistent. They were like figuring out and being flexible with the meta. They had a strong sense of like how to close out games and how to play the early game in a way that like actually promoted wins towards their games in a much cleaner fashion. Whilst Damwon was still struggling with their early game plays and having to focus so much on the mid to late game team fighting. So, you know, coming into this, by the time that like the Rumble stage was done, I was in the camp squarely that Damwon had improved enough in their early game that I would put them second. Not enough for me to like think that they would win the whole tournament, but given who they decided to pick because they got first place, that possibly PSG might beat them, and Damwon is significantly better than PSG, and I thought Damwon at this point, with their consistency, was much better than Mad. But games 2 and 3 put like a damper on that thought process. Because it wasn't like Mad had like a seriously super strong early game in these two games. And I'm putting an extra emphasis on these two games because games 1, 4, and 5 were like, Damwon got an early lead, they ballooned it, they kept killing them over and over again, kept ballooning the lead, they kept choking out the particular camps that they had, and they grabbed every neutral objective they could because Mad had a hard time contesting, and anytime Mad did contest, they would lose their team fights on a scale that was just absolutely disgusting, and by the time the 25-minute mark happened, the game was done. Whilst games 2 and 3 were much longer, measured games by Mad, and Damwon were chaotically flangering about. So, with that, because this game ended 3-2 for Damwon won, they are going to face off against RNG. I have to think about the fact that Damwon showed that they haven't fixed completely their early game issues, nor have they fixed completely the issues that looked like in their regular season was plaguing them in the bot lane and like had slowly disappeared for playoffs. So how does this look for when the finals happen? Well, RNG are a better and more consistent team, and that means that if RNG are able to close out games faster and are able to balloon games faster, which in my opinion they are much better at than Mad are, then I think that they might win 3-0 on a consistent, like, just on the basis that they have better early games on general, and they know how to balloon the leads in a way that allow them to close out games quickly, in the same way that Damwon did against Mad for the 3 games they won. The other hand, however, is that if RNG do not know how to close out the leads well enough, then like Damwon is just going to take advantage of the fact that they don't know how to close the leads well enough, and they're going to find games where they're able to get the early game leads that they need. There we go. And so I think it's going to be, given what I see in this game, or in this series, my gut instinct is to say that RNG is going to win 3-0. It's going to suck, it's not going to be fun, or it's going to be a lot of fun, very close, and they still win 3-0. But a nagging piece in my head is saying that Damwon is going to win 3-2 again. And so my two predictions are RNG go 3-0 or Damwon goes 3-2. And if at any point RNG lose a game, I'm almost certain that Damwon are going to find ways to like capture that momentum and just wander wild with it. Because for some reason they figured out how to play the early game in a way that allows them to play as if they're in the mid game. And once that's done, boom, easy peasy for them. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, with that, Mad Lions, good job. I still think that as a team, you are technically better than PSG on a regular basis. So in my head, you got 3rd place and PSG got 4th place. Take it. It's pretty good. I still think that because of your gameplay in your playoffs and in MSI, that I do solidly think that you're a top 10 team of the world, right? No contest. If you come to Worlds, I almost guarantee that you guys are going to come to Worlds, barring any not like random shenaniganries. But fantastic. This was like a solid run from you guys. I cannot stress enough how much you guys have been. You are the most consistent team, like hands down. And so, like, with that, fantastic play. Really enjoyed watching you guys. Really will enjoy watching your playoffs in the summer because I can almost guarantee you'll make it there. But we have to say goodbye to you. Bye-bye. And with that, Damwon and RNG face each other in the finals. And that'll be interesting. It really will. Either RNG goes 3-0, Damwon goes 3-2. Either way, I'm right. If it goes 3-1, then I'm 100% wrong. And you can just say, haha, you're wrong. And I'll just take it. Easy peasy. I don't think I'll be able to watch these. Like, I don't think I'll be able to co-stream these live. But I will definitely be able to watch them live. And just, like, be along all of you. Just real excited. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Right? Do you think, like, who do you think is going to win? What did you think of Mad's performance so far and how they rank against the entire world? Do you think that this finals will be interesting, or is it going to be like another one of those international finals to watch where it's like, it sounds hype, but then it's not as hype as it should be? You guys let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate all of you who do watch. Really do. It means a lot to me. And I hope if you did like this video, leave a like and subscribe. And with it, I'm going to put also over here the Road to MSI series, which is the playlist where I watched every region's playoff series, all of the playoffs, best of fives or best of threes for the PCS. And it's how I got most of my knowledge to make these educated analyses. And over here, I will have the Clearing Visions MSI playlist, where it's just my thoughts so far for every day that has been played out. And we only have one episode of this left before I probably take a long break. I have one video idea. I may do a review of the third place match from the VCS, like I mentioned in my Road to MSI. But for the most part, tomorrow's going to be the last video for quite a while. And I can't wait to see you all there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.